The day Earth changed forever started like any other for John Patterson. He woke up at 5:30 a.m., made his coffee, and watched the sunrise from his apartment window. 20 years as a Marine had programmed this routine into him. Even now, 3 years into civilian life as a diplomat, he couldn't shake it. His phone rang. The screen showed it was his boss, the Secretary of Defense. "Patterson, we need you at the Pentagon. Now." John didn't ask questions. 45 minutes later, he sat in a room with the highest-ranking officials in the United States government. The president looked tired, like she hadn't slept all night. "At 0200 hours, a spacecraft entered Earth orbit," she said. "It's not one of ours. It's not Russian or Chinese either. The vessel is over 2 miles long." John felt his heart rate quicken. Like most people, he had always believed alien life existed somewhere in the universe. He just never expected to meet it. "They're sending a message on all frequencies," the president continued. "They want to talk. They call themselves the Galactic Confederation, a union of 17 different intelligent species." "And you want me to talk to them," John said. It wasn't a question. "You and Dr. Lisa Wright. She's flying in from MIT now." John had worked with Lisa before on international treaties. She was brilliant, a top scientist who specialized in biology and could learn languages faster than anyone he knew. 6 hours later, John and Lisa sat in a military helicopter heading toward the designated meeting point. Lisa looked out the window, her red hair pulled back in a tight bun. "Nervous?" John asked. "Terrified," Lisa admitted. "But also excited. We're making history today." The helicopter landed in a large field where a military base had been hastily set up. In the center was a strange shuttlecraft that had come down from the larger ship in orbit. It looked like flowing metal, with no visible seams or rivets. "Remember," John said as they walked toward it, "we represent all of humanity now." The shuttle door opened silently. John expected stairs, but instead, a gentle lift force pulled them upward into the craft. Inside, the air smelled clean but slightly sweet, like nothing on Earth. The shuttle journey to the mothership took only minutes. When they arrived, John and Lisa were led through curving hallways by a robot guide. The walls pulsed with soft light that seemed alive. Finally, they entered a large room, and there they were, aliens, real aliens. 3 different species stood before them. The tallest looked almost like deer walking on 2 legs, with golden fur and large eyes set on the sides of their heads. The second type had blue-gray skin that seemed to shimmer, with 4 arms and wide, flat faces. The third kind were smaller, with feathery scales and eyes that changed color as they blinked. "Welcome, Earth representatives," said the deer-like one. Its mouth didn't move, but John heard the words clearly in his mind. "I am Ambassador Zell of the Ardani. With me are Representative Mulan of the Brak and Coordinator Pesh of the Zithrons." John stepped forward. "On behalf of Earth, we thank you for this historic meeting. I am John Patterson, and this is Dr. Lisa Wright." Lisa nodded respectfully. "We are honored to meet you all." John noticed something odd right away. The aliens kept more distance between themselves and the humans than seemed necessary. Even when Coordinator Pesh offered them drinks in crystal-like containers, the feathery alien stretched its arm out as far as possible, avoiding getting close. The conversation began formally, with the aliens explaining the basics of the Confederation. A peaceful union of planets that shared technology, culture, and protected each other. They had been watching Earth for decades and decided humans were ready for contact. "Your species has overcome many challenges," said Ambassador Zell. "You've survived wars, disease, and environmental change. You've begun to reach out to your own solar system. We believe you are ready to join the larger community among the stars." As they talked, Lisa took notes on a data tablet the aliens had given her. Suddenly, she winced. "Ouch," she said quietly, looking at her finger. A small cut had appeared where the edge of the tablet had caught her skin. A tiny drop of blood welled up. The reaction was immediate and surprising. All 3 aliens stepped back quickly. The Brak representative's skin changed color to a paler blue. Ambassador Zell's ears flattened against its head. Is something wrong? John asked, concerned by their reaction. No, no. Ambassador Zell responded quickly. Too quickly. Please, Dr. Wright, there is a medical station to your right. Lisa walked to what looked like a small alcove in the wall. When she placed her hand inside, a soft light glowed, and the cut sealed itself instantly. Amazing, she said, examining her finger. The meeting continued, but John couldn't shake the feeling that something important had just happened. The aliens had reacted with what seemed like fear, not disgust or concern. Fear of a tiny drop of human blood. After 4 hours of discussions, they returned to Earth. A formal welcome ceremony would happen in 1 week, with more human representatives, meeting more alien species. Back at the Pentagon, John and Lisa reported everything to Admiral Karen Murphy, the head of the newly formed First Contact Division. They were afraid, John explained. Not just cautious or diplomatic. When Lisa cut her finger, they physically recoiled. Admiral Murphy frowned. That's strange. Why would advanced species fear humans? They have technology we can barely understand. Lisa tapped her tablet thoughtfully. It reminded me of how people react to dangerous animals. Not disgust at the blood, but fear of the creature it came from. Admiral Murphy was silent for a moment. I want this investigated. Quietly. She turned to a man who had been sitting silently in the corner of the room. Alan Baker will handle it. Alan stood up. He was average in every way. Average height, average brown hair, forgettable face. Perfect for intelligence work. I'll find out what they're not telling us, he said simply. As John left the Pentagon that night, he looked up at the stars. For his entire life, those stars had represented mystery and potential. Now, beings from those distant points of light were here, reaching out to humanity. But they were keeping secrets. And something about humans scared them. John couldn't help but wonder, what did these advanced aliens see when they looked at humanity? And why did it make them afraid? 6 months had passed since first contact. Alan Baker now lived on Nexus Station, the massive space habitat the Confederation had built near Jupiter. His cover was simple. He worked as an assistant to the human ambassador, but his real job was to find out why aliens seemed afraid of humans. Alan walked through the curved hallways of the station's diplomatic sector. Unlike most humans who still marveled at the alien architecture, he kept his eyes on the other species. He watched how they interacted with each other, and more importantly, how they changed when humans approached. "Morning, Greg," Alan said as he entered the human embassy office. Greg Foster looked up from his desk. As the cultural liaison officer, Greg's job was to help humans and aliens understand each other better. With his friendly smile and easygoing manner, he was perfect for it. "Morning. The ambassador wants to see both of us. The Helvarians are complaining again about safety protocols." Alan frowned. "What is it this time?" "They want separate air filtration systems in all meeting rooms. They claim human breath contains too much carbon dioxide." This wasn't new. Every week, some species demanded new safety measures around humans. The list was getting ridiculous. Separate eating areas, wider hallways, special warning signs when humans were present. It went far beyond normal health precautions between different species. The ambassador looked tired when they entered her office. "Gentlemen, we need to find out what's going on. These demands make no sense scientifically. Dr. Wright's team has confirmed our air is perfectly safe for 90% of Confederation species." "Permission to speak freely?" Alan asked. "Always. I think they're afraid of us. Not our germs, not our customs. Us, humans." The ambassador sighed. "Fine proof. Something I can take to the Confederation Council." After the meeting, Alan decided to visit his best lead, a Zithran trader named Klivix. The small, feathery alien ran a shop in the station's marketplace that sold exotic items from across the galaxy. More importantly, Klivix liked to talk. "Ah, Alan Human. Come, I have new flavor crystals from the Mist Worlds." Alan smiled and accepted the offered sample, a small crystal that dissolved on his tongue with a taste like summer peaches mixed with cinnamon. "Delicious," he said truthfully. "But I came to ask about something else. The Helvarians want new safety protocols around humans. Again. Klevix's feathers rippled in what Alan had learned was amusement. Helvarians worry too much, but not without reason. What reason? The alien looked around, then leaned closer. You are from Earth, yes? What classification do you think your world has in Confederation records? Alan shrugged. I don't know. Temperate? Oxygen-rich? Klevix made a clicking sound. Earth is Class 12. What does that mean? Worlds are rated by habitability standards. Class 1 is paradise. Perfect gravity, stable climate, minimal predators. Most Confederation homeworlds are Class 3 to Class 5. And Class 12? Alan asked, already guessing the answer. Death World, Klevix whispered. Only 5 known in explored space. Extreme gravity, temperature swings of more than 50 degrees, high oxygen content, deadly radiation levels, aggressive biology. Worlds that should not produce intelligent life, by all normal evolution standards. Alan felt his pulse quicken. And humans evolved on one of these death worlds. Not just evolved, thrived. This is why. Klevix stopped as another alien approached. Come to my quarters tonight. I will show you files I'm not supposed to have. Later that day, a small incident in the station's central hub seemed to confirm everything. The artificial gravity briefly malfunctioned in one section. Greg, who was giving a tour to some Helvarian diplomats, stumbled and accidentally bumped into one of them. It wasn't a hard collision. Greg immediately apologized, helping the alien regain its balance. But the Helvarian's reaction was extreme. It backed away, its pale skin flushing dark orange in what their species' equivalent of fear. Control yourself, human, the Helvarian said, its translator making the words sound harsh. You could have broken my support structure. Greg looked confused. I barely touched you, I'm sorry, but this is why we need stricter protocols. Humans do not understand their own strength. The incident quickly escalated into a diplomatic issue. The Helvarian delegation filed a formal complaint, demanding humans wear special armbands that would sound an alarm if they moved too quickly near other species. Back on Earth, Lisa Wright was making her own discoveries. As the lead xenobiologist, for the First Contact Division, she had access to medical data from all Confederation species. What she found shocked her. Look at these comparisons, she told Admiral Murphy, pointing to her screen. Average bone density of a Helvarian compared to a human. Their bones are like bird bones, hollow and light. A human child could break a Helvarian's arm by squeezing too hard. Admiral Murphy leaned closer. What about the others? It varies by species, but the pattern is clear. Compared to every other species in the Confederation, humans are, well, there's no other way to say it. We're built like tanks. She pulled up more data. Our pain tolerance is off their charts. Our ability to regenerate from injuries is considered miraculous. We can survive radiation doses that would kill most species instantly. And our endurance? Humans can literally run most Confederation predators to death. But they have better technology, faster ships, Admiral Murphy argued. Because they had to develop it, Lisa replied. We developed muscles, claws, and aggression. They developed tools because they couldn't survive otherwise. That night on Nexus Station, Alan met with Klevix in the trader's private quarters. The Zithran showed him classified Confederation files about humans, files that confirmed everything Lisa had discovered. This is why the safety protocols, Klevix explained. A friendly pat on the back from a human could break ribs of some species. Your hearing is dull compared to ours, so you speak loudly enough to damage sensitive eardrums. Your body temperature is so high it radiates heat that feels like fire to cold-adapted species. Alan stared at the data in disbelief. But we're not trying to hurt anyone. Intention means nothing to physics, Klevix said. If a kavar, what you call a teddy bear on your world, had the strength to crush stone in its paws, would you let children hug it, no matter how friendly it seemed? As Alan left Klevix's quarters, a realization hit him. Humans weren't just another species to the Confederation. They were dangerous animals being allowed into civilized society, creatures whose home planet should have killed them. but instead forged them into something the galaxy had rarely seen. He needed to tell Earth what he had learned. Humans weren't seen as equals by the Confederation. They were seen as monsters from a nightmare world, monsters that somehow learned to talk and build spaceships, and the rest of the galaxy was terrified. Alan Baker's report reached Earth 2 days later. Admiral Murphy called an emergency meeting with John Patterson, Lisa Wright, and key military leaders. The conference room was silent as they reviewed the findings. "So that's it," John said finally. "They think we're monsters." "Not monsters," Lisa corrected, "more like apex predators or beings from a horror story. Creatures that evolved in conditions that should have killed us." Admiral Murphy paced the room. "This changes everything about our position in the Confederation. If they see us as dangerous animals rather than equals, our diplomatic approach needs to shift." "We should bring Alan and Greg back," one general suggested. "No," Admiral Murphy said firmly. "We need them there more than ever now. Alan needs to keep digging and Greg needs to continue building relationships." Lisa pulled up a holographic display showing comparative biology charts. "Look at these differences. The average human bite force is stronger than the strongest predator species in the Confederation. Our skin is thicker, our muscles denser. We can survive blood loss that would kill most species instantly. And we're supposed to feel bad about being tough?" asked a colonel. "It's not about tough," John explained. "It's about context. Imagine if Earth was suddenly visited by beings who could walk through walls, lift cars with one hand, and couldn't be hurt by bullets. Wouldn't we be afraid no matter how friendly they seemed?" On Mars, at the first human colony outside Earth, events were about to prove John's point. The colony was small, just 200 people living under connected domes. It was humanity's proud first step to becoming a multi-planet species. Donna Clark, the colony's security chief, was checking the perimeter sensors when alarms blared. "Unidentified ships approaching. All personnel to safety positions." Through the dome's clear ceiling, she saw 5 small spacecraft descending rapidly. They weren't human vessels, and they weren't following the approved landing paths. "Confederation security, this is Mars Colony 1. We have unknown craft approaching. Request immediate assistance," she radioed to the Confederation outpost in Mars orbit. The reply came back quickly. "Mars Colony, this is Commander Zex. Vessels identified as Korvax separatists, considered armed and dangerous. We are sending forces, but they are 20 minutes out. Recommend immediate surrender to minimize casualties." Donna's face hardened. The Korvax were an avian species known for their recent political troubles. Separatists were extremists who opposed joining the Confederation. "We're not surrendering our colony," she said to her team. "Get everyone to the secure bunker. Security, team with me." Donna led 12 security officers, all former military, to defensive positions. They had limited weapons, mostly non-lethal tools for handling emergencies. The Confederation had strict rules about human weapons in space. The Korvax. Ships landed and armed figures emerged. They had sharp beaks, feathered crests, and moved with quick bird-like motions. Their weapons looked like sleek rifles. "They're heading for the water reclamation system," Donna realized. "They want to disable life support." What happened next would change how the entire galaxy viewed humans. The Korvax attacked with what seemed like overwhelming force. Their energy weapons burned through the colony's outer doors. They expected an easy victory against what they thought was a defenseless scientific outpost. They were wrong. Donna and her team fought back with improvised weapons and sheer physical ability. When Donna took a blast to her shoulder that would have killed any Confederation species, she kept fighting. When Officer Ben Carter had his arm burned by an energy weapon, he used his other arm to throw a heavy wrench with enough force to knock a Korvax unconscious. From the Confederation security vessel watching from orbit, the scene was horrifying. Humans continuing to fight despite injuries that should have been fatal. Humans moving with speed and strength that seemed impossible for their size. Humans showing pain tolerance that defied biological understanding. The Korvax, expecting easy victims, found themselves facing creatures that simply wouldn't stay down. When Confederation forces finally arrived, they found most of the attackers captured or unconscious. 3 humans had died defending their colony, but they had protected everyone else. Donna, bleeding from 2 serious wounds, was still giving orders and treating injured colleagues. Commander Zex, a BRAC military officer, stared in disbelief. "You should be dead," he said when he saw Donna's injuries. "I'll need medical attention soon," she admitted, "but my people come first." The incident was recorded by the Korvax ship's cameras. Within days, the footage spread across the Confederation network. Other species watched in horror and fascination as humans displayed physical abilities that seemed impossible. Back on Earth, Admiral Murphy received the news with mixed feelings. "The secret's out now," she told John and Lisa. "The whole galaxy just saw what humans can really do." "How bad is it?" John asked. "Some Confederation members are calling for restrictions on human movement throughout the galaxy. They're saying we're too dangerous to be allowed free access to their worlds." "That's discrimination," Lisa protested. "It's fear," Admiral Murphy said. "And fear is hard to fight with logic." She brought up a new holographic display showing messages from across the Confederation. "But it's not all bad news. Some species are impressed. They're saying that having humans as allies could be valuable, especially in dangerous situations." John looked thoughtful. "So we're not seen as equals. We're seen as... what? Guard dogs?" "More like potential protectors," Admiral Murphy said. "The Mars colony incident showed we can defend ourselves and others. Maybe that's our way forward, not pretending we're the same as them, but showing we can use our differences to help." Lisa nodded slowly. "Evolution made us tough because Earth is tough. We can't change what we are, but we can show the galaxy that what they fear about us, our strength, our resilience, can be used to protect, not harm." Admiral Murphy stood up. "I'm forming a special task force. We need to manage this situation carefully. John, Lisa, you'll work with me directly. We need to find a way to turn fear into respect." As the meeting ended, they watched the Mars colony footage one more time. To human eyes, it showed brave people defending their home. But now they understood what alien eyes saw. Creatures who could ignore pain, keep fighting despite terrible injuries, and demonstrate strength that defied the normal rules of biology. Humans weren't just another intelligent species joining the galactic community. They were something the galaxy had never seen before. Beings evolved from one of the harshest worlds ever to produce intelligent life, and the galaxy was just beginning to understand what that meant. 1 year after first contact, humanity's place in the galactic community remained complicated. The Mars colony incident had changed everything. Some alien species now avoided humans completely. Others sought them as allies. All of them talked about the Death World species in hushed tones. Admiral Murphy's task force had grown. It now included John Patterson, Lisa Wright, Alan Baker, who had returned from Nexus Station, and 2 new members, Steve Martinez, a skilled diplomat, and Beth Williams, an anthropologist who studied how different cultures viewed each other. "Our strategy is working," Steve said during their weekly meeting. "The focus on humans as helpers rather than warriors has improved our image with at least 8 species." Beth nodded. "The cultural exchange programs are helping too. When aliens learn about human art, music, and literature, they see us as more than just strong bodies." Admiral Murphy looked pleased but cautious. "Good progress, but we still have problems. The Helvarians are leading a coalition to restrict human settlement to only 3 star systems." "They're still afraid," Alan said. "And fear doesn't disappear overnight." Lisa had been quiet during the meeting. Now she spoke up. "I think we're missing something important. We keep trying to downplay our physical abilities, but that's not working. Maybe we should embrace what makes us different." "You want us to scare them more?" John asked. "No. I want us to be honest. Humans evolved on a harsh world. We're tough, we heal quickly, we can endure pain. These aren't things to be ashamed of. They're survival traits." Before anyone could respond, an urgent message came through. A research station in the Kuiper Belt had suffered a catastrophic accident. A containment field holding exotic matter had failed. The station was rapidly losing pressure, and radiation levels were rising to deadly levels. "How many people are there?" Admiral Murphy asked. 42 scientists, 17 humans, the rest from various Confederation species, replied the communications officer. "The nearest Confederation rescue ships are 3 hours away. By then, He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Chris Jackson, a former paramedic who now worked with the task force, stepped forward. The Phoenix shuttle can get there in 40 minutes. Let me take a rescue team. Admiral Murphy frowned. The radiation levels they're reporting would kill even humans within hours, and the temperature in the damaged sections is below -100 degrees. We have radiation meds that can buy us time, and the new thermal suits might work for short exposure, Chris insisted. Those people don't have hours. After a brief debate, Admiral Murphy approved the mission. Chris quickly assembled a team of 4 other humans, all with emergency response training. Their shuttle launched minutes later, accelerating at forces that would have damaged most alien bodies. On the research station, the situation was desperate. Dr. Krall, a Zithran physicist, had managed to get most of the staff into a sealed section, but the life support was failing, and radiation was seeping through the damaged shields. The human rescue team has docked, announced one of the station's crew. Dr. Krall blinked in surprise. Already? That's not possible. When Chris and his team entered the station, they found chaos. The temperature in the corridors was dropping rapidly as heat escaped into space through hull breaches. Emergency lighting cast everything in a dim red glow. We need to get everyone to our shuttle, Chris told Dr. Krall. Our medical officer will treat the worst cases first. But the main lab, 3 of my colleagues are trapped there, Dr. Krall said. The automatic doors sealed when the containment failed. The radiation levels there are... The alien scientist's feathers drooped in despair. No one could survive those levels. Chris checked the station schematics. I'm going after them. Get everyone else to the shuttle. That's suicide, Dr. Krall protested. Even a human cannot survive that radiation. I'll die eventually, Chris agreed. But not before I get your friends out. What happened next became another legend about humans in the Confederation. Chris took a massive dose of radiation medication and entered the highly radioactive section. The temperature was cold enough to freeze exposed skin instantly. The radiation levels were considered absolutely lethal. But he kept going. He found the 3 scientists huddled in a sealed inner lab. One was unconscious, the others barely able to move. Chris carried the unconscious one and helped the others walk. His skin began to blister from radiation exposure. His breathing became labored. Still, he kept going. When they reached the shuttle, the alien scientists stared at Chris in horror and awe. No species they knew could have survived what he had just endured. As the medical team treated him, his body was already reacting to the massive damage, a human response called inflammation that shocked the alien doctors. Your cells are dying, but still fighting, one alien doctor said with wonder. How are you still conscious? Chris managed a pained smile. Humans are stubborn. The rescue ship began its return journey, but disaster struck again. A micrometeoroid shower hit them, damaging the navigation system. The autopilot failed. I can fly it manually, Chris said, despite his worsening condition. Impossible, the BRAC pilot argued. No one can calculate trajectory adjustments that quickly without a computer. But Chris could. Human reaction time, while slow compared to some Confederation species, was coupled with an intuitive understanding of physics that seemed almost supernatural to the mathematically precise aliens. Chris flew the damaged craft through the debris field using pure instinct and experience. When they finally reached safety, word of the rescue spread quickly through Confederation channels. The footage from the shuttle's cameras showed humans working in conditions that would kill any other known intelligent species. It showed Chris making course adjustments with split-second timing that the best alien pilots admitted they couldn't match. Back on Earth, Admiral Murphy watched the reports with her team. This changes things, she said quietly. They've seen what humans can do when protecting others, not just ourselves. Steve looked thoughtful. The timing is interesting. The Confederation Council votes next week on the Helvarian proposal to restrict human movement. After this, that proposal may fail, Beth said. But there's something else happening. Have you noticed how some species are starting to look at us? Not with fear, but with hope. John understood. They're realizing that having humans around might be useful. especially with the rumors about what's out there beyond Confederation space. Admiral Murphy nodded. Reports have been coming in about aggressive contacts at the outer borders, unknown ships, missing colonies, and suddenly having tough radiation-resistant, cold-tolerant beings who can fight while injured doesn't seem so bad, Lisa finished. As Chris recovered in a medical facility specially designed for human biology, he received an unusual visitor. Ambassador Zell, the Ardani who had first welcomed humans to the Confederation. "Your actions have changed many minds," the deer-like alien said, "including mine. I used to fear what humans might do in our peaceful Confederation. Now I wonder if we need your kind precisely because of what you are." Chris looked puzzled. "What do you mean?" "The galaxy is not always kind," Ambassador Zell said softly. "Perhaps a species forged on a world that tried to kill them is exactly what we need for the times ahead." As the ambassador left, Chris wondered what the alien knew that humans hadn't been told. What dangers lurked out there in the darkness between the stars? And why did the Confederation suddenly seem grateful to have humans, the dangerous Death World species, on their side? 5 years had passed since humans first met the Galactic Confederation. In that time, much had changed. Humans were no longer seen as simply dangerous creatures from a Death World. They had become valued members of the galactic community, though many species still kept a respectful distance. Captain Julia Ross stood on the bridge of the Earth Alliance vessel Defender, the first human-built starship to include mixed-species crew members. As part of the Confederation Defense Fleet, her ship patrolled the border regions where troubling reports had been increasing. "Captain, we're receiving an emergency signal," said her communications officer. "It's from Harmony Station." Julia felt her heart rate increase. Harmony Station was one of the largest civilian habitats in this sector, home to over 50,000 beings from 12 different species. "Put it through," she ordered. The message was broken and distorted. "Under attack. Unknown vessels. Bypass defenses. Need immediate assistance." "Set course for Harmony Station, maximum speed," Julia commanded. "Alert the crew. This is not a drill." As the Defender accelerated toward the station, Julia called her senior officers for a briefing. Ryan Cooper, her tactical officer, was human. Her chief engineer was Zithran, and her medical officer was Brack. This diversity of species had proven valuable many times. "The attackers are identified as Zarvek," Ryan reported. "They're not part of the Confederation. Long-range scans show at least 15 warships." "Zarvek?" asked Dr. Mulan, the Brock medical officer. "We know little about them except they have been raiding outer colonies." Julia nodded grimly. "Now they're attacking a major civilian station. We need to coordinate with other Confederation ships in the area." 3 other Confederation vessels joined them, but they were still outnumbered. As they approached Harmony Station, they could see the massive habitat was already damaged. Parts of its outer ring were dark, and fires burned in some sections. "The Zarvek have already breached the station," Ryan reported. "They have boarding parties inside." Julia made a quick decision. "We need to split our response. Our ship will engage their fleet to prevent more boarders. I'm sending security teams to help defend the station itself." "Human security teams?" asked Commander Zell, an Ardani who served as Julia's first officer. "Yes," Julia confirmed. "This is exactly the situation where human physical capabilities are needed most." Sam Evans led the human security team that boarded Harmony Station. What they found was chaos. The Zarvek were tall, muscular beings with bony plates covering their bodies. They carried advanced weapons and showed no mercy to civilians. "They're heading for the central hub," Sam told his team. "That's where most of the civilians are sheltering. We need to stop them." The fight that followed would become legendary throughout the Confederation. The human security teams moved through sections of the station where radiation leaks made it dangerous for other species. They fought in areas where gravity had failed, using their natural adaptation to changing conditions. When their weapons were damaged, they engaged in hand-to-hand combat against the much larger Zarvek. On the bridge of the Defender, Ryan Cooper suggested a risky battle plan. "We can't match their firepower head-on," he explained to Captain Ross. But if we use the station's debris field as cover, we can perform a series of rapid strikes from multiple angles. The Ardani tactical officer from another Confederation ship protested through the communication link. The calculations required would be too complex to perform in combat conditions. The risk of collision is too high. Humans are good at spatial awareness and split-second decisions, Ryan argued. We've been hunting and navigating difficult terrain for thousands of years. Julia made her decision. We're implementing Tactical Officer Cooper's plan. All ships coordinate through our systems. The battle that followed demonstrated another unique human trait, the ability to make intuitive decisions under extreme pressure. While other species relied heavily on computers and precise calculations, Ryan directed maneuvers based partly on instinct and experience. The Defender danced through debris that other ships wouldn't dare approach, appearing where the Zarvek least expected. Meanwhile, inside the station, the fight grew desperate. Sam's team reached the central hub just as a large group of Zarvek were breaking through the final defenses. The civilians inside included many children and elders from species with no natural defenses. Hold this position, Sam ordered his team. No matter what the Zarvek encountered shocked them. Humans took wounds that should have been fatal yet kept fighting. When one human security officer was slashed across the chest by a Zarvek blade, she applied a quick field dressing and returned to the fight minutes later. The Zarvek had never encountered beings with such pain tolerance and rapid battlefield recovery. More importantly, the humans fought with a controlled ferocity that the Confederation species had never witnessed. It wasn't mindless rage, but a focused determination that made maximum use of their physical capabilities. They coordinated instinctively, protected each other, and adapted their tactics as the situation changed. "They're retreating!" someone shouted as the last Zarvek boarding party pulled back. Outside, the space battle had turned as well. The unexpected maneuvers of the human-led ships had confused and divided the Zarvek fleet. When Confederation reinforcements finally arrived, the Zarvek ships jumped to faster-than-light speed and disappeared. The aftermath was sobering. Many lives had been lost, but Harmony Station had been saved. As medical teams treated the wounded, stories spread quickly about the human defenders who had stood between the Zarvek and thousands of helpless civilians. 1 week later, Admiral Murphy represented Earth at an emergency session of the Confederation High Council. The chamber was filled with representatives from all 17 member species. "The Zarvek threat is greater than we anticipated," said the Zithran Council leader. "They specifically targeted a civilian habitat, and our standard defenses were insufficient." "But not all defenses," added the BRAC representative. "The human contingent demonstrated remarkable effectiveness." Admiral Murphy stood to address the council. 5 years ago, humans joined the Confederation as newcomers. Many of you feared us because we evolved on what you call a death world. You saw our physical strength, our tolerance for pain, our ability to survive conditions that would kill most species. She paused, looking around the chamber. You were right to notice these differences, but perhaps wrong to only fear them. Humans did not evolve to conquer the stars. We evolved to survive a harsh world, to protect our families, to overcome challenges. The chamber was silent as she continued. Earth trained us to be tough. Its gravity made our muscles strong. Its diseases strengthened our immune systems. Its predators sharpened our reflexes. Its changing climate taught us adaptability. "What are you proposing, Admiral?" asked the council leader. "A new role for humanity within the Confederation. We will not hide what we are or pretend to be like other species. Instead, we offer what evolution gave us: our strength, our resilience, our determination, in defense of all peaceful beings in this galaxy." The council debated for 3 days. In the end, they approved a special status for humans within the Confederation Defense Forces. Human-led ships would patrol the most dangerous regions. Human security teams would train for special operations. Human emergency responders would handle the most hazardous situations. As Admiral Murphy left the council chamber, Ambassador Zell approached her. "Your species still frightens many of us. the Ardani admitted. When we see what human bodies can endure, it triggers deep instinctual fear. I understand, Admiral Murphy replied. We can't change what we are. No, Zell agreed. But perhaps what frightens us is exactly what we need. The galaxy is vast and not always kind. Having companions who evolved on a world that tried to kill them daily, perhaps that is a blessing we did not recognize. Later that night, Admiral Murphy met with John, Lisa, Alan, and the rest of her original team. They shared a quiet moment, reflecting on how far humanity had come in the galactic community. They still keep their distance, John observed. I noticed even the most friendly aliens maintain extra space around humans. They always will, Lisa said. It's instinctual for them, just as we have instincts about dangerous animals. But now there's respect mixed with the fear, Alan added. And maybe that's enough. Admiral Murphy looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, beyond the safety of Confederation space, unknown dangers waited. But now humanity had found its place. Not as conquerors, not as victims, but as guardians. The shock and fear that had greeted humans when they first joined the galactic community had transformed into something else. Humans were still the dangerous warriors from a death world, but now they were dangerous warriors who stood between the innocent and harm. And throughout the galaxy, billions of beings slept more peacefully knowing that humans, the toughest, most resilient species known, were standing guard.